find a slayer who is as interested in gathering information as they are defeating the humans, that is.
Ready to ship out? Adventure awaits.
Greetings. Far better than my ordinary stock. Clear sailing.
You must speak. It's no time for equivocation. Just the slayer I've been seeking. Return alive. We have much to accomplish.
What's going on? come to the right stylist. Goodbye and good luck.
Holy crap, someone finally did it! Ubisoft, the Mad Lads, have released a feature-complete looter shooter, a game that actually feels like it's a full game, and not a game that will be complete about a year from now. Pretty crazy stuff what we're looking at right now. The overwhelmingly positive response that Division 2 has been getting since its launch last week. It's basically all anyone in my feed is talking about right now, how the game feels like a full game. And you can't help, I don't mean to dogpile, but you can't help but look at the recent launch of Anthem in stark contrast to what we're seeing the reception of Division 2 be. There's so much that's really great with this game, and it's been incredibly impressive and really heartening to see the reception so far. First off, I gotta say that up until this point, I've only played Division 2 for I think about 15 hours. I haven't finished the main campaign, which evidently takes anywhere between 20 to 40 hours. What I've seen so far has been pretty amazing, and all of the impressions that we've seen, the reviews that have come out so far, the first impressions, the initial thoughts, it has been a while since I've seen a loot game come out with this much positive reception. Now, it's hard to say. On one hand, it's definitely that Division 2 looks to be a really solid game. I think on the other hand, though, is that a lot of people who like looter shooters were just so disappointed with Anthem that Division 2 seems like a saving grace that descended from the heavens. I mean, honestly. So I want to talk a bit about what people are saying about Division 2. It's blowing people's minds, so let's talk about it. The gameplay in this game, as well as the weapons, just feel great, with some good sound design and visual feedback to the enemies, guns having this nice heftiness and weight to them. In addition to that, the combat is also a bit more varied and challenging than in the first game, with the addition of the armor system, a variety of types of enemies, as well as what looks to be improved AI that does a really good job of trying to flank you, get good angles, send different enemy types at you. Bullet sponginess tends to be a major complaint in loot shooters, especially ones with more realistic settings, like the First Division, a lot of people didn't love the idea that you could shoot an enemy in the head 10 times and not have them go down. It doesn't make sense. Whereas if it's like an alien or something, or a giant monster or zombie, you can wrap your head around that a little bit more. And Division 2 addresses this with the implementation of the armor system. So now instead of just shooting at enemies that for whatever reason have a ton of HP, now we've got this armor that you have to break off bits and pieces, whether or not it's the shoulders or the chest piece or the helmet. And as you whittle away that armor, it eventually breaks, becomes exposed, and at that point, you can kill them in just a couple of shots. All of that makes the combat in Division 2 feel really good. In addition to this, we've got this big, open, seamless world with a ton of detail. One of the strong points of the First Division was just how detailed the world was. All just little things to look at. Like, it really feels like a fully fleshed out and realized post-apocalyptic world. Well, we've got that same thing here in Division 2. Many people saying it even has more detail and more things to look at, as well as a variety of environments given this DC that's kind of been overgrown with vegetation. Also, there's only one loading screen. You load into the Division 2 the first time, and then you can just explore the entire world without looking at a single loading screen, doing as many missions, objectives, as much as you want. Again, in stark contrast to the recent release of Anthem, not to dogpile the game, you had a loading screen in between every single frickin' thing that you did. And besides that big, seamless, detailed open world, Division 2 is also stuffed with content. It is literally bursting at the seams with stuff to do. Everywhere you go, there's a new activity, a new event, objectives that you can do. You kill some enemies, you hold a point, you collect an objective, you interact with an item. I guess the best way to put it is there's a lot of that stuff stuffed into this game. It doesn't feel like you're mindlessly roaming the streets and killing off a small group of enemies here and there. They give you these little bits of objectives: control a territory, shut down this radio broadcast, push back this enemy location. They're just constantly presenting you with some slightly varied objectives, which are ultimately just shooting enemies and collecting loot. Just the presentation is something that people really appreciate. There's also loads of collectibles and items to interact with in the environment, as well as hidden loot locations. You'll come across these doors and these barriers with a lock on them, and if you're paying enough attention to notice them, you can break that lock, bust in, and you'll be rewarded with a ton of loot. And that's another thing that Division 2 does great, and it's that it gives you tons of loot. It might seem like it goes without saying when it comes to a loot game, but not every loot game is rewarding players with lots of loot, but the Division 2 is. This is a game that you'll be constantly inundated with new items. The game is just showering you in loot all the time, and that's what you want from a looter shooter. Division 2 also spots a lengthy campaign with roughly 15 to 40 hours for players to reach max level, depending on how you approach it, whether or not you just sprint doing all the main missions and not touching much of the side stuff. You can probably get there 15 to 20 hours. On the other end of things, it might take you 40 to 50 hours to reach max level if you're really kind of just exploring, you're not in a hurry, and you're enjoying this rich world with all of these side activities like we talked about earlier. It's going to take you quite a long time to reach that level cap of 30. And then the game really begins, and this is kind of one of the craziest things about Division 2. It feels like it's presenting you with a completely new experience, is what I've heard from the people who have hit max level so far. So basically, upon hitting level 30, you're introduced to an entirely new enemy faction that takes over the world of Division 2 and presenting you with variations to everything that you did in the leveling experience. You're going to get new quests and new reasons to go back to these areas that you did while leveling, as this new faction has occupied this space. You're also introduced to character specializations, presenting you with new ways to play your agent. Brand new missions specific to the end game and the new enemy faction are presented. You also have the difficulty world tiers, basically ramping up the difficulty of all of the enemies within the Division 2, getting higher and higher to unlock better and better gear. There's the occupied dark zone, and then later down the road, we're also going to be getting raids. We've got this rich, content-full experience of leveling, again, between 15 and 40 hours, and then you unlock almost an entirely new experience within that play space once you hit level 30. They've said from the start that the end game was a big focus, and it appears to be pretty clear that that is the case, that they've really done a good job of giving you more reasons to play once you finally hit max level. And again, when you compare this to some of the other looter shooters, including the First Division, Destiny 1 and 2, and most recently Anthem, it's looking like Division 2 is just blowing those games out of the water. So much about it, the content, the combat being what it is, and what we've seen thus far for the end game is just hands down a much more complete package than what those games games presented at launch. Now, obviously, with time and content updates, all of those games got better, and we expect Anthem as well to get better over time. But the thing is, Division 2 is launching better. It's got everything that you're gonna want to keep you interested in playing for quite some time. I say that with also acknowledging that the game just came out. We're not but a week out from launch, so we don't know how long the end game is gonna keep people hooked. And that is certainly a major part of these types of games, the experience that players want from them revolve around an end game that they can keep playing over and over again. But from the people who aren't gonna hit max level in 1 or 2 weeks, everyone is pretty much unanimously saying this is one of the best base experiences for a looter shooter that we've ever seen. Now, I myself, I'm only about 15 hours in. I haven't hit max level. I haven't finished the main campaign, so there's still a lot for me to see, but this initial experience, like pretty much everyone else is saying, has really blown me away. They've done a great job of filling out this world, making it fun and interesting to explore, and it just feels like a complete looter shooter. Still gotta wait for endgame, still gotta see how long it's gonna keep people hooked, but so far my impressions line up with what pretty much everyone else is saying. The Division 2 feels like a great game. Honestly, I'm dumbfounded. I did not expect this for Division 2. I thought, you know, a more refined Division 1 in a new setting, whatever, but this game feels so much more fleshed out than every looter shooter that has launched in like the past 5 or 10 years. We don't have to wait a year for Division 2 to get good, because it looks like Division 2 is just launching good. When's the last time you said that about a loot game? Every other loot game, you've had to wait like a year for it to get good. It's really something amazing. So good job, Ubisoft. Congratulations. You've made the first good loot game since Borderlands 2. When the fuck is Borderlands 3 coming?
The Division 2 is a new third-person cover-based RPG shooter by Ubisoft and the sequel to The Division 1, which came out in 2016. Unlike The Division 1, which was set in
Hello, fellow Orexians. Today I want to talk about why I didn't want a PlanetSide 3. I think most people are going to be like, what? Why didn't you want a sequel to this terrific title? But give me a minute, let me explain. And I use the word didn't because it's an old thought process that has changed over time in my mind. Now, a couple years ago, Vindicor approached me with a sort of think tank project about what we'd want to see in PlanetSide 3. For those of you that don't know who Vindicor is, he's the guy that runs PlanetSide 2 Upgrade Project. He's just a wealth of really good ideas for PlanetSide in general, ranging from pragmatic, easily implemented changes that have gone into the game, all the way to lofty, exciting ideas that we wish could go into the game. There's going to be a link to his website down in the description. There's going to be a card with one of his videos up on your right. If you want to check his stuff out, I cannot recommend it enough. It's just kind of fun stuff to page through and think about. But anyways, while Vindicor just sort of intended it as a fun exercise to kind of think about the future, what might come down the road and what we'd like to see if it ever did, I was pretty resistant to start thinking about PlanetSide 3. And so today I want to cover that hesitation. In this day and age, it's basically impossible to release a complete game. And I think some people will cry, no, it's just stingy developers that aren't willing to spend enough money to do the job right up front. And for some games, that's absolutely true. But the reality is, for the gaming industry that's becoming more and more mature, every new game that comes out faces more and more competition from these extremely mature video games. When a movie is released, sure, it's competing for everyone's dollars against all the streaming services out there and all the other places people can spend their discretionary income, but it's not competing against films from 20 years ago to a significant degree. Its real competition is against all the films that are in that theater that weekend. And so we get weekly, monthly tallies of who won the box office battle. Video games, on the other hand, are competing against titles from 5, 10, 15 years ago sometimes. And those other mature titles have a massive head start on them. Imagine if Warframe was released today. Because it entered the market as a very pioneering looter shooter, it's very successful. But now the bar to get into the looter shooter market is so much higher because there's so many other mature looter shooters out there. Think about Anthem right now. Tens of millions of dollars in development, and less than a month in, people are already complaining about the lack of content. And that's because it's competing against Warframe and Destiny that already have a huge head start on it. They must deliver better gameplay than those titles to be able to compete, but there is no way for them to compete right out the gate, at least in terms of sheer amount of content. And then if you hop over and think about Apex Legends, people are chomping at the bit for Battle Pass, because they have that in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, they have that in Fortnite. That is something they expect out of a Battle Royale title. Now, Respawn Entertainment did the right thing in terms of nailing compelling gameplay right out of the gate and saving some of those other things, like the Battle Pass, to be released as future content. But you can see how the bar goes up and up and up with all the other mature titles on the market. What is expected of a complete Battle Royale? And they are scrambling to meet that bar. So jumping back to PlanetSide, this is why I wanted to focus on finishing the existing title rather than jumping to the next one. PlanetSide has a tough task because it is trying to transcend genres. It's not just an FPS, it's not just an RPG, it's trying to be both. And unfortunately, it can't skate by and do first-person shooters not as good as other first-person shooters, and it can't do RPGs not as good. It has to do both of those concepts as good or better. And unfortunately, that basically means it just has to deliver more. I don't blame them for going the route of PlanetSide Arena because all they have to do is deliver one map, first-person shooter gameplay out of a Battle Royale lobby, and a Battle Pass. If you can get all that out there, you can say, hey, we've got a complete game on our hands, and go try to compete against the other titles out there and just try to be better. PlanetSide, on the other end, has never been able to deliver the complete experience. It hasn't delivered fair fights, and that's not because it can't, it's just a lot more difficult for it to do so. In a team deathmatch, you make it 8 versus 8, and you say, hey, good, we're done. For PlanetSide, with 1,000 to 2,000 people on a map, you have to come up with some very intricate, detailed battle flow spawn plans, and it can absolutely be done if you take a look at something like Foxhole. It's just a lot more work than what it takes to deliver fair fights in a generic arena shooter. And on the RPG end, it doesn't have a good social hub, doesn't have good character progression, doesn't have satisfying loot. It's not complete in that genre. But what PlanetSide 2 does have is the basics. It has 4 continents. It has character models. It has vehicle and aircraft models. It has weapons. And it has fun gunplay. It's got a lot going for it. I didn't want PlanetSide 3 because it would have to redo all of this from scratch. My fear, if we ever got a PlanetSide 3, is that all they could do is get done what they did in PlanetSide 2 and never get all the other things done the game needed to be great. Like, I totally understand why PlanetSide 2 came out the way it did. You could develop a really intricate, well-designed resource battle flow spawn system, but if you did all of that and never built a continent, that doesn't work, right? The things that PlanetSide 2 got are the most basic requirements. You can't release a game without those. These other things, these meta things, these endgame things, you can go live without them. There is still potential gameplay even if they're not there. For PlanetSide 2 to really have released in a complete state, it would have needed triple the budget. But that's not the way games work these days. If you are someone that's going to get hung up and say, we have to have all of these features that these mature games like Warframe or PUBG have, you might as well give up on 99% of the games that get released in this day and age. Games don't get big enough budgets to launch with all the features people expect. They have to launch as complete as possible and then rush to finish themselves in the live state. So that is why, especially 2 years ago, when the game was still only 4 years old, I was like, no, guys, we can't give up on this title. If we give up here, we start from scratch on PlanetSide 3, and it's going to be the exact same results. They build new, better continents. They build new, better models. They put all this time and energy into getting done the things you have to do, the things you can't release without, the things that can't have placeholders. And again, the game would get released without good battle flow, so it can't deliver fair fights from an FPS game. And it would release without good character progression, so it can't deliver to people what they expect of an RPG. And let's say they didn't do all that. They tried to release a PlanetSide 3 with all the assets of a PlanetSide 2. It would just get branded as an asset flip and be dead upon arrival, even if they did fix all the endgame things PlanetSide 2 desperately needed. That was one of the most frustrating things for me to watch in the progression of PlanetSide 2. After launch, the first two big things that happened to PlanetSide 2 were attempts to
Well, me personally, I'm not a big fan of this international break. I think it's a total waste of time, and we've got backlog of fixtures coming up as well. No, I don't like it at all. I think it's just a total waste of time, and I don't like it one bit, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm actually enjoying it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, it's always nice to have games, but when there's a break, just cool. I just chill out. I use it as a way to refresh my batteries, because when the football season's on, me personally, as lucky enough to be a match-going fan, I'm all the way up there in football-wise. So when there's a break, I just come all the way down, use it as a way to recharge my batteries. And plus, our women are playing, you know. So yeah, I'm liking it. I mean, we left international break with a fantastic win over Rennes. So you know, happy. Listen, I always enjoy an international break. Obviously, I want England to do well, and obviously I want Nigeria to do well. But I always enjoy an international break. Always. I'll start with us. No, not at all. I think the fans are getting carried away. All are getting carried away, or maybe not now. I'm Manchester United fans, even though we're not talking about that. So sorry to talk about another team, but not getting carried away. Because the thing is, I don't think anybody is getting ideas above our station. But if we're doing well, let's just say, at this moment in time, we are in the top four on the same number of games played as everyone else. So, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we've done well. Everybody wrote us off before we were going to play Manchester United. Then, when we got beaten by Rennes, everybody wrote us off as well. So you know, no, we're not getting carried away.
Finish.
Everyone.
Well, I think we are, to be honest with you, and it just shows the mentality of the fan base. It's the expectancy level is not what it used to be, which is quite sad. We're happy to be challenging for top four. And it's not a big achievement to finish top four. I don't think it is any great achievement. I think it's a minimal requirement from this coach that he needs to get. And Yes, I think we do, because I run a poll the other day. I actually put a poll on there, which is quite interesting, and it says, if Arsenal get top 4, should we use an open top bus? Right, and 49% said yes, and that proves to me what mentality we have in our fan base at the moment. I put that as a joke, but it's quite seriously that 50% said we should have an open top bus if we finish top 4. And I find that quite amazing. But anyway, I think we're getting carried away. But I think we need to wait till the end. We've got 8 games coming up. We've got 5 of them are away from home. If we then get those 5, if we do well in it, all well and good, and that's another stepping stone for next season. Yes, but to say we've actually achieved greatness is going beyond, is going too far. I think what we've got to worry about is that our away record has been shocking this season. We've only picked up 20 points from our away games, and everyone's saying that because we've not got to play a top 6 side that we're going to be okay. But I honestly believe that when you lose to teams like West Ham and Southampton, none of these away games are going to be easy. So it'll be interesting. It'll show if the squad is up for it. The next 8 games, we'll see if we can push on and get this top 4 spot. I think we should go for the top 4 more than aim for the Europa League. I think the Europa League is there as a bonus, but then again, it can just disappear with one shot in a game. So I'm going to say, let's wait and see. Let's all talk in May. Let's not worry about what other clubs are doing as well, because even if they want to banter us, that's up to them. That's their prerogative. You know? But it doesn't mean we have to do the same. I believe that we should look at our own situation and carry on from there.
So can I ask you a question now? You're saying that what is the mentality of our fan base? Then? You said it's the mentality. You said we're getting carried away. So what's the mentality of our fan base then? The
mentality of our fan base is that is to get too overexcited about making top 4, and I think it's just a minimal requirement for this football club.
It is, but no one said it wasn't. No one said no one said it wasn't.
But the reaction from the fans after the games
against who? Against
Manchester United, against Reds. You think we've won something? We haven't won nothing yet.
So should we not be happy then?
Yeah, we should be happy, but we shouldn't go over the top.
Yeah, but what's going over the top though?
Oh, the way we carry on.
How did we carry on though?
Oh, come on.
No, how you got to explain to me how we carry on, because what I see, you're saying so because we said it last week. So you're saying to me that when Manchester United fans, sorry to mention them, give it, we should be quiet when they're giving it, writing us off.
Well, if someone jumps off the bridge, I'm not going to go and jump off.
Yeah, but that is not an example.
Well,
no, but that's because you would.
As I said, I'm not interested in what other teams want to banter.
And that's fair enough.
They can banter as much as I want. Yeah, I'm worried about us getting involved in it.
And no, but the thing is, if people are the people are giving it, you should keep quiet though. Even though they want to render you, they want to laugh in your face.
We cannot banter a club. Yeah, we cannot banter a club. Let me tell you something, right?
Yeah.
When we're probably about to sign another piece of rubbish that they're going to throw in the bin at the end of the season, like Antonio Valencia.
Who said that though? But that's just
I'm just saying.
That's rumours.
They have now come. They've come to us and taken our best players, and we're going to them and picking up the players that they don't want, and we can't banter a club like that.
Yeah, we could we can banter, but we
have no rights to banter any club. We're carrying on.
We have a right to banter
we are the biggest banter club in the
no
country.
way.
And it's down to our fans.
No,
and I'm sorry.
It's down to our fans. What do you mean it's down to our fans?
I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. I'm sorry.
Go on.
I have to say this.
Go on.
Right. We can banter you all this bantering of banter this, banter that.
Yeah.
Right, we cannot banter Man United. If we buy Antonio Valencia at the end of the season on a free transfer, we have no right to banter them.
Well, okay.
Because that'd be the biggest joke going.
It's
like going at the end of the evening, going at the back of a supermarket and getting the sandwiches out that they're throwing away. I'm sick and tired of this attitude in this fucking football club. right? Even the director of football from where is it from? Monchi doesn't even want to come.
Yeah,
You know
but
why
you
he doesn't
don't
want
know-
to come?
but you don't know
I'll tell
that.
you why he doesn't want to come.
But you don't know that.
Because he knows what's on the what's going to happen here.
Yeah, but you
if this club does not invest properly in the summer, we'll be doing the same old shit next season. Playing for top four. Are we more ambitious than that? I want to know if this club is more ambitious than that. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's fair enough, but the thing is, you're saying...
And while our fans keep getting away and say, oh, we'll give him 4 transfer, we're giving 6 transfer, we are not going anywhere. We're not going there. I'm a realist, and that's how I see it.
Okay, all right. So
and that's my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. But the thing is, you're saying to me that we can't banter Manchester United if we buy Antonio Valencia.
No, we can't.
Hold on. So you're saying we can't banter Manchester United
No.
but yet we've had an invincible team. Is that not correct?
Do you think that Man United will come and buy Danny Welbeck off us at the end of the season?
I don't think so. But
No,
that's
exactly. Do you think they'll come and buy Lichtsteiner when he's about to retire?
That's paper talk, though, Claude. That's paper
Well,
talk.
I'm just telling you, if
that's
that happens, we have no right to banter.
We've got every right to banter Manchester United. Manchester United cannot say anything to us. And I've had so many arguments with Manchester United fans wherever, and they cannot say anything to us. We've won the league at Old Trafford. Is that not right?
Yeah, they won
Okay.
they've only won the league about 20
Okay,
times.
no.
but anyway, it
You
doesn't
said
matter.
we can't. But let's talk about us and them. We won the league on their ground. Is that not correct?
Oh, dear, you're going to go on about
Is that not because you said we can't
These
banter
little
us?
petty things. Like,
It's not petty if it's true. Is it not true, or am I dreaming? Did we not win the league at the silver?
Yes, we did.
Well then, and have we not had an invincible team? So how can we not banter them? If you can't banter, you can't win anything. That means we haven't won anything. We can banter them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a go at the fans who have a go at you. Because as you remember, before the game, there was opening their mouths, shutting their mouths off after they beat us in the cup. They're shutting them out. When we beat them now, oh no, it doesn't matter. Oh no, you know what I mean? So we've got every right to say that. And this poll, what did you put that poll on?
I put it on yesterday.
Yeah, what did you what media outlet did you, what media social media site did you put it on?
You know what video? I've just shown you.
No, which one? Instagram, what? Twitter or what?
Whatever, Twitter. Yeah.
Okay then. So are you really taking that seriously? Do you really think that our fans did that? Or is that people, Manchester United fans who are bitter that they lost to us, and Tottenham fans who are bitter that they're in our shadow saying it? You cannot really
because
believe that's our
a lot
fans.
of the people that have come back, and I've seen it on there, have given the responses, have been Arsenal fans.
And you know that for a fact?
Yes, because
How
they're
do you-
happy to be fourth.
No, I don't. I'm sorry, but I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. I'm sorry, I
I
cannot
put
believe
that as a joke, yeah, and it's come 50-50.
It is a joke, but no, but 50-50, who is doing it? Unless you can talk to the people and show who they are. That's a joke. You don't think that Manchester United or Tottenham fans did that for a laugh, to try and make us look bad? You don't think though? You think everyone was truthful? You think everyone was a gooner? Because I don't. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I can't understand that. I'll start with this. He's got a good chance if he can keep up what he's doing. Played really well on Thursday. It's last Thursday now, isn't it? Last Thursday. Scored a fantastic goal. Obviously, Hector is the number one. So, you know. But, yeah, he's got a good chance. He's got a good chance of getting a lot of games. I'm really, really impressed with him. I mean, he's been injured, unfortunately. And he's had to take time. But, hopefully, challenging for that spot. I think so, why not?
He's made great strides actually in the last few games. He's been outstanding. He's got used to that position. In the long term, I wouldn't play him right back. Probably he's more useful going further forward, either in the right wing, even central midfield position. Yeah, he's got a great future ahead of him. He's got to keep his head up though. He's got to not get too carried away. But I thought the last few games he's really come up really highly. I don't think the right back is going to be permanent for him. I think that's not his position. I think we need to look for that position. We need to get someone else in for that because Hector's not going to be available in the early part of next season. So we need to strengthen that. We need to strengthen a lot of positions in the summer. But yeah, Maitland-Niles has been absolutely brilliant the last couple of games. I think he's really grown into the position. He's really done well. But do I think it's his permanent position? No, I think he's better off for further forward. There are still a little bit weaknesses defensively in his game. So I think going forward, yes. Yeah, I think he's been he's going to be an outstanding player, but he needs to keep his feet on the ground there.
Cool. Wow, that is a very good question. So far, oh my gosh. Wow. Oh. Cool. You got a lot of candidates. I think Matteo Guendouzi stands out. Cool. Pierre as well. At the moment, that's a difficult one because you had some good, brilliant performances. Oh, Burnt as well. Burnt has been outstanding. Ooh, it's probably going to be, at this moment in time, I'm probably going to go for Pierre because of the fact that he's only one behind Mohamed Salah in the Premier League goal scoring charts. So even though you could have a shout for Matteo and Ainsley and Burnt as well, but at this moment I'll go, obviously things can change, but I'll go for Pierre because he's the top goal scorer, and without his goals, obviously, and Alexander's and all the other part of the team, who knows where he would be. So I'd go for Pierre at this moment in time.
Oh, I'm going to go for the other guy. I'm going to go for Lacazette. I think his work rate has been tremendous. Had goals. He works his balls off every game. Never gives less than 100% this season. I think he's been a really good top player this year. So I'd go for Lacazette.
I've basically got something to say to you, Claude. So I've got to say that I've got to apologise to you for last week because I just have to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're so miserable, and I'm so sorry that I can't be like you. I'm really, really sorry because I don't understand when, if you win, you're not happy. So I'm sorry that you can't feel happy. You're smiling, yeah, because you know you're smiling. You can speak because that's what I don't understand. Because you seemed miserable. You seem absolutely miserable. It's like if we lost now, what would you be saying? You'd be there moaning, but when we've won now, you can't even be happy. Why can't you be happy? You can answer. Why can't you be happy? It's like the Mr. Men. Obviously, other Mr. Men are available. Mr. Angry, Mr. Miserable. You know what I mean? I don't know why you're happy. You know what I mean? I think what you should do, I think, is listen to "Cause I'm Happy" by Pharrell. Maybe something like that.
This is where I will wrap it up. Well, I will wrap it up.
Go on, wrap it up then. Go on, wrap it up.
That is the mentality.
Miserable, Mr. Miserable. I'm so sorry you're so miserable.
This is the mentality.
I'm so sorry you're miserable.
Miserable.
Negativity.
Mentality.
Wallow in self-pity.
Happy to
you
finish
should
fourth.
be happy.
Happy
I'm not happy to
finish
finish fourth. I'm happy to win. I'm happy to smash up Manchester United when their fans give it. I'm not getting over carried away as well, but you shouldn't be miserable because if you're not in football to win, what's the point? We beat Manchester United.
Keep feeding the club.
And you're still
keep feeding the club.
Feeding the club. So you
keep
don't feed
feeding
the club. So you don't feed the club.
Keep feeding the club.
You don't feed the club then. You don't feed the club then. Because you don't go watch the team.
Merchandise.
That's right, merchandise. That's right.
While they waste their money on Antonio Valencia.
100%
free transfers.
Mr. Miserable.
While this man,
a new Mr.
catalogue man will.
Roldo, may his soul rest in peace. Here's Mr. Miserable here.
There's the catalogue showing the embarrassment of our home.
Embarrassment. You're trying to call me embarrassment.
You're an embarrassment.
You're trying to call me an embarrassment.
An embarrassment.
You're trying to call me embarrassment. You're trying to call me embarrassment. He's trying to call me an embarrassment.
Leave your comments in the box.
He's trying to call me an embarrassment. The person who said Christmas is cancelled, trying to call me an embarrassment.
Our fan base.
The person who was on Tottenham Fan TV, trying to call me an embarrassment. The person who's grovelling to rants and bants and flex, trying to call me embarrassment. I don't think so. Thank you very much. That's right. I'm proud of it. Thank you very much for all your comments. Mr. Miserable might be back next week. Who knows? Thank you very much for all your comments, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.